Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Too Many Guys Soccer Show, Other League Short. I'm Chelsea Mike Shustak, and we're coming to the end of the calendar year of 2022. So, as we enter the new year, I just want to wish you and your family health, happiness, and peace, and a joyous 2023. So, last time on this short, we reviewed the WSL and Championship, and I promised to dive into League One and League Two. So that's where we'll spend most of our time today. In the championship, a little changed. Although I do have to say, one of the funniest things I saw on social media this week was that someone found a Wigan supporter season ticket, and then found them on social media, with the season ticket holder responding that the finder could keep it. Wigan are, of course, at the bottom of the championship table, but take heart, Wigan supporters. You're only 3 points from safety, and there is a lot of football left to play. There's no need to give up just yet. But outside of that, little has changed. It needs to be updated, and there were no matches in the WSL as they are on their winter break. So let's dive right into League One. Just as a reminder, like the championship, there are 2 automatic promotion spots and a 4-team playoff for a third promotion spot. But unlike the championship, 4 teams get relegated. So at the top of the table, it looks to be developing into a 3-team race for those top 2 spots. Top of the table right now with 53 points are Plymouth Argyle. Now, Plymouth, if you'll recall, last year they had a great run in the FA Cup. They scored a third-round upset over Birmingham of the championship, and they gave Chelsea their best match before the final, driving them to extra time. Last year they finished 7th in League One, right outside the playoffs, while winning none of their last 5 matches. You have to think that this is a redemption run for the Pilgrims, and you love to see it. Again, they're top with 53 points, 4 points ahead of Ipswich Town and Sheffield Wednesday, and the difference here is in the head-to-head matchups. Argyle were victorious earlier in the year against their 2 nearest rivals, and those 6 points are the difference. Now listen, this is League One, and while I'm fairly confident in the gap developing in the championship at the top of the table, I will never be confident in anything in League One, which through my time following lower league football, I've noticed to be the most volatile of any of the divisions. So please check back, but we have 3 teams looking for 2 automatic tickets to the championship, so it's going to be exciting. And keep in mind, those automatic bids are so important. More on that in a sec. And I'm going to keep you hanging on this illusion for a minute to look at the fairly divergent paths of 2 teams near and dear to this podcast, Collective Hearts, those of Exeter City and Forest Green. Both of these teams came up from League Two last year, and while Exeter has had a pretty good showing in their new surroundings, Forest Green have they've struggled. In fact, they got crushed by Exeter in their league meeting 4-1, although they did beat them in the trophy. Exeter have got 19 collective goals from Giovanni Brown and Sam Nambe, his best season so far, and they're 11th in the table, firmly in the middle, only 6 points off the playoffs. And again, it's League One, so hope springs eternal and things change, but you'd have to think that finishing where they are right now would be a win for a recently promoted side. On the other hand, Forest Green have struggled. They're currently sitting second bottom from the table, and they have a league worst negative 26 goal differential, and they've lost to the only side who trailed them, Morecambe. All hope isn't lost for the Rovers. They're only 2 points from safety, but their defense simply has to improve if they're going to stay up in League One. Their goal differential, as bad as it is, stems from the fact that they've given up a League One worst 46 goals. So let's rewind back a bit to what I was talking about before. So remember how I mentioned how important it was to be automatically promoted? Well, my surprise of the year so far in League One are the MK Dons. Last year, the Dons were 1 point from an automatic spot in the championship. 1 point. In fact, in their last match, the Dons crushed Plymouth Argyle, ending Argyle's hope for the playoffs, and were for a few brief seconds in second before Rotherham came back up, scored one, and took that spot. But this year, they're third bottom from the table, and if the season ended today, they'd be in League Two. They've already fired their manager, who sold their leading scorer, and they simply have not been able to make up for that. Last season, they scored 78 goals, and this year, they're only on pace to score 44. I mean, there's League One for you. Things can improve quickly in that. And they're only 1 point from safety, but they're really going to need to amp up their scoring if they're going to avoid falling to League Two. A great time to transition. Let's move to League Two, where 3 teams will move up automatically. 4 teams will fight it out for a spot at Wembley and the right to move up for a playoff, and 2 teams will drop out of the league. And then, unfortunately, they will no longer be covered by this program. And that, I'm sure, is what fans and owners of those teams are truly fearful of. Right? No, probably not. In our automatic promotion spots, Leyton Orient lead and look surely through at this point, 14 points above the playoff line, followed by Stevenage and Northampton Town. Northampton Town are in their familiar third place. Last season, they started their final match in third, a match they won 3-1. 3-1, won. That one was scored right before halftime. Meanwhile, the second half went goalless. However, in Bristol, their game did not. The Rovers scored 5 goals in the second half, which eliminated Northampton's goal differential advantage, and they were promoted by scoring more goals than Northampton had throughout the season. It was a wild, wild thing to watch on the split screen. Remember what I said. You always want that automatic promotion spot. And for Northampton, they lost in the playoffs. Northampton only sit 4 points clear of their dreaded playoffs, but I don't know. For me, if they're going to have to pick it up so that they're not vulnerable to that same heartbreak again this year. Looking at the bottom of the table, Rochdale are in awful form, having lost their last 5, but I'd have to say that the surprise of this season in League Two are Gillingham. Gillingham were the 4th and final side relegated from League One last year, and a draw against promoted side Rotherham would have granted them safety, or any points from any of their last 3 matches. But that didn't happen. Then, as you fall, there was a lot of turnover, but I've got to say, if there was one side who I thought would be in this position to double drop out of the league, it would have been Crewe Alexandra, who were just pathetic at the end of the League One season last year. So why Gillingham decided to take 2 from their forward attack is beyond me. The results, however, are so bad it's almost unspeakable. Now, I did some research. It took me a while. I did some good research. Gillingham have only scored 7 league goals. 7, which puts them on pace for 14. So I looked at the tables for the entire league pyramid down to the 7th tier, and there is no side who have scored fewer league goals than Gillingham. I suppose it's nice to find out that there is a Northern Premier League Premier Division. And shout out to the National League South. But anyway, to say that the Gillingham offense needs to improve is an understatement, because they've only allowed 27 goals, which is right about in line with many of the mid-table League Two sides. For all the theatrics I'm doing right now and for how epically bad the Gills offense has been, if they were to win one match, they'd be out of the drop zone on goal differential. So that's League Two, and that's why I watch it, so you don't have to. Anyway, I'm really glad to have been able to go down the table very deeply and update you on what's been going on. It has been a while. Next week, I will take a look at the FA Cup, where many lower league sides will be taking on your favorite clubs, including, if you can believe it, Gillingham, who've made it to the third round proper. And they'll be taking on Leicester. And if you saw Leicester this week, you know that they'll score your goals for you. So, good luck, Gels. But for the Too Many Guys Soccer Show, this is Chelsea Mike Shoestack. Happy holidays. I think we did all right this week. And as always, we'll try to do better next time.